Namaste everyone, myself Untitled Chapter. Today we are here to learn about how to grow greens. Greens, as you all know, they are very nutritious and it should be included in our day-to-day life. And it's very easy to grow, just very minimal requirement is there, minimum care is there. Few things which have to be taken care while growing greens, that I'll be sharing the tips, so keep watching. So first and foremost is we have to have the seeds whichever we want to grow. This is methi, palak, coriander, and this is your amaranthas, or in Hindi we say chulai. Okay, you can see all are in different sizes. So earlier I have told you when we have discussed about sowing seeds in the seed tray. So the vegetables like tomato, capsicum, chili, all those seeds are little on a bigger side. We can grow them in the seed tray. But the greens, it's better to grow it in a clustered manner. So we'll follow some steps for that. Now, whenever you harvest any of your produce from any of the pot, make sure for the next sowing you have to wash that pot properly, so that there should not be any fungal infection which can be transferred again to your soil. So we have washed the pot nicely. Now and make sure all the pot should have nice holes at the base. Now we'll cover these holes with any of the broken pot pieces so that the holes are not get blocked. One different thing what I prefer to do with my pots is generally I spread a very thin layer of cloth at the base. You might be wondering why I am doing that, because many a times I see after a few days when we keep watering our pots, this place where we keep our pot, the below part of the pot, too much of soil gets accumulated. So if I keep this cloth, then only the water comes out of the pot, the soil remains inside, so my floor doesn't get dirty. So that I feel it's better. After pruning my trees, plants, whatever I have on my terrace, I never throw these twigs and the dry leaves. So this actually works as a good drainage for my pot. You can see these are the flowers. They are very rich source of sulfur and potash, so that I make sure in all my pots that is there. Dry leaves, okay, dry leaves, twigs, all this I make sure at least half of my pot is filled with all these things. So once this is filled, now the thing comes what goes inside this as a potting mix. Now for potting mix, three things we are going to take, that is your coco peat. This we are using because it holds good amount of moisture. Soil we are taking, soil the color might be different in the area where you stay. So soil we are adding because it has a very good holding capacity and it has so many micronutrients which is very much needed for the sapling to grow. This is compost and little bit of neem cake I have added in this. Compost is again, I have used vermicompost. You can use your Arabic compost or anything what you are making. And this is the full, you can say the nutrition, the food for my sapling or the baby or whatever seed I am sowing. So this is your compost. In that a handful of neem cake I have mixed, so that any infection or any problem in the soil that can be rectified by that. And again neem is a very good source of nitrogen, so that is taken care. So all these three I have taken in equal quantities. If you see here, I have already mixed and kept it. In this coco peat, soil and compost with very little of neem cake has been added. Okay, we can just pat it properly. Again fill it. Make sure till 3/4 of the pot is filled. Too much we don't want to. Fill. Okay, once this part is done, okay, now I'll talk about seeds. Now if we have to sow palak, then we can just take palak and we can spread it or broadcast it nicely, and then again we'll cover with some the mixed soil, just 1 or 2 1.5 inches, and then we'll water it and we'll keep it aside. Second thing, again the methi, the same thing. You can methi, it's better you soak it overnight, then the germination percentage is good. And the main problem comes with this, your amaranthas. As you can see, they are very tiny seeds, okay, so very difficult to put in them. So if this kind of a seeds are there, either you mix it with sand or you mix it with little of your potting mix only. Okay, so once you mix it with your potting mix, it becomes easier for you to hold it. So when I have to spread it on this, something comes nicely on my fingers. Okay, so that is one thing. Now when we talk about coriander, coriander generally you see it comes in this form. Okay, so never sow coriander like this. Just take a rolling pan or just with the finger only, just break it into two. See, just if you little pressure if you give, they breaks it into two. Now if you see properly, both of the parts have one seed. So if you just sow it like this, it takes too much of time to germinate. So see, all these seeds, if you see properly, you can just keep these on your rolling pan and just press it lightly, and then it breaks into two. Can you see properly? Okay, so once we have done this, we'll take, suppose we'll take palak. We can wait, first we'll make sure that the level is proper. You can just with your finger only, you can make 3 lines. Now depth of the pot, if I talk, maximum 6 to 8 inches depth is good enough for growing this greens. So when you see, I have, okay, so now you have seen I have made 3 visible lines. So I'll take my palak seeds and I thickly broadcast them on these lines. Palak, one more benefit is that after it germinates and the stems are little on a thicker side, so if you feel they are little on a clustered way, so you can very carefully you can remove and plant it in a separate pot at a nice spacing. So that can also be done, but for coriander and other things it's difficult to do that. So for that we have to sow them directly only. Okay, now suppose this is done. So what I'll do is I'll take another potting mix and just very lightly I'll cover. The seed should not be visible. How to sow the seeds, how much they should be kept in the depth, everything I have discussed earlier. You can check those videos. Okay, so just make sure now very lightly you press. Make sure when you are doing all this, your soil should not be very wet, because once everything is done, we are going to water. Okay, now I have pressed it properly. So whenever you sow something, earlier I have already discussed, after making the potting mix, I have prepared this potting mix yesterday. I had given water to this and then I had kept it aside for 24 hours as it generates some heat, which I told you that after 24 hours if we use, it's better. So now already it's 24 hours over for this potting mix to be ready. I have sown the seeds. Now diluted Jivamrita, this already I have told you how to make it. So just sprinkle nicely, because our soil is little on a moist side only. This is the first time, so we are giving nicely this. We should drench the whole soil nicely with this Jivamrita. Okay. Now when this is done, make sure you cover your pot with some cloth and keep it aside in a dark place for at least 2 days. Okay. After the second day, you can remove this cloth and keep this pot in a semi-indirect sunlight area. As you see, the shoots have started coming. You can keep it in a place where the bright sunlight is there, but it should be indirect bright sunlight. Greens do not like too much harsh heat on them. Okay. So one thing I want to show you, when you remove the cloth from this, might be the initial few leaves you will see. You can see here 1 or 2 very lighter pale color leaves are there. So don't get worried if initially 1 or 2 leaves are little on a paler side or they are little lighter green, because that time they were not getting sunlight, so they are little on a lighter tone. Once they will keep them in the brighter indirect bright sunlight, again they will become lush green. Now how to take care of this? The major mistake when people do is overwatering. Now when we have given compost soil and your coco peat, the composition is such that the coco peat holds a right amount of moisture. So you just touch your soil and see if the moisture is good enough. No need to, it should be on a little drier side before giving water. So if you can, and never sprinkle water heavily, or with the pipes you should never give water to the greens. Always you should have something like this with the very minimal holes, so that the pressure of the water, because the stems are very delicate, so the pressure of water they can handle it very nicely. Every alternate day you can water, or you are staying in a place where too much hot it is there, then make sure you give the water daily. Now once you see that they are really growing well, then is the time, approximately 1.5 months it takes for greens to grow. You can harvest it that time, but make sure you don't pull it from the roots. Generally greens, the same greens we can harvest it for 2 to 3 times. Let it be coriander, your methi, your palak. So what you do, you just hold it like this and you just cut it very nicely with your sterilized knives or scissors, so that again they'll reshoot and you can get a second and third harvest. The time you feel that no more harvest is coming, that is the time you can uproot them with the roots. Now one more thing people ask about the giving the manure to them. Now they are very densely growing, so it's very difficult for us to give compost in between as regular we are giving to the other plants. So make sure when you are growing greens, give always the liquid fertilizers. You can give compost tea, you can give Jivamrita once in 15 days, again once in 15 days, next you can give your compost tea. Make sure anything solid you don't give, because it might hurt the tender stems. Okay. Now many a times what happens, the place where you are staying, it's too hot or too cold. So some people, they have a query that whether in this season we can grow methi or we can grow coriander. It's too hot here, or sometimes it's in winter season very difficult. So sometimes what I suggest people is, if such climate is there, so and you want to grow greens, so this kind of a pot, just insert few thick sticks, okay, and during the daytime, suppose it is summers, during the day times, just wrap some cloth around your pot, okay, like this, just tie it, okay. So what happens, it is not getting direct sunlight, and again when you feel the afternoon times the sun is not that harsh, that time you can remove this. same thing you can do it when it is too much winter. Suppose in December or November in North India climate you want to grow these. So during the night times or during the early morning time, suppose evenings after 5 or 6 o'clock, you can tie this cloth around, and then in the morning around 9 to 10 o'clock, because we don't want that mist or that fog to fall on the tender stems. So if you do that, they'll be safe, and whenever the sun timing is there in the afternoon, you can keep it in the sun. So it's very easy to grow. Just you have to make sure the drainage should be good. As I have put the layers, you have seen the twigs, the dry leaves, and the mix of the soil potting mix should be really good. So that is one thing. The drainage should be good. Secondly, you have to check whether the seeds are viable or not. As I have told you earlier how to check in the water. You just check it by mixing it in the water. The seeds which are of good quality, those only you use. If the seeds are on a bigger side like methi and all, you can soak it overnight. So germination will be faster. Then after the sowing, you can cover it with 1 inch of potting mix and cover it with a cloth for minimum 2 days. That has to be taken care. Overwatering is the main culprit where many people fail in growing greens. So make sure just initially you give watering alternate day. If you feel that the soil is becoming too dry, then start every day. Harvest 2 to 3 times from the same pot, same seeds, and whatever you do, suppose third time you have done the harvesting, the soil what you get after that, solarize it nicely, put again your Jivamrita. That also I have told you how to regenerate yourself, regenerate your soil. So do that and use that soil again for growing something different. Never use the same thing, same soil for growing the same thing. Suppose this I have used for growing green, suppose coriander. So next time any green I am not growing in this soil. Either I'll grow chili, I'll grow capsicum or any other vegetable. So make sure this is called crop rotation. So you can say the fertility of the soil and the nutrient in the soil, they'll be manipulated nicely. So these are the basic things. Just follow the basic tricks, the method of watering and everything, sunlight. They'll be really, you'll be really thrilled every time because within a 1.5 month you can start harvesting your greens. So enjoy your journey. So thank you for joining me. Keep watching. Thank you.